Jody Carter, and this is You Are the World, because you are the world. You are your world. Who you are makes a difference in the world around you by how you live your life. And our effect is very far reaching. And often on the show, well, most of the time I have a guest. Sometimes I do it by myself, but I have guests on the show who I think are doing something to make life more interesting. And today, a very dear friend of a dear friend of mine, a woman whom I've met on a couple of occasions, and who's well, apparently quite a wonderful psychic and reader and healer and a little bit of everything. Varney is with us today. So welcome to the show, Bonnie.
Thank you, Jody. Glad to be here.
Well, it's really nice because I know we've, across the years have said hello at a party or something like that, but never really had that, that much contact. But I'm fascinated. I've always been actually fascinated by things of the mind and things of the spirit, and certainly in science of mind, there's a sense that we do create our experience. So what I'm fascinated with is this, how you do healing and how do you use this psychic ability and how you keep your center. And well, why don't you just tell us how you got into it and what it is that you do?
Okay. I first noticed my psychic ability when I was very young. As I got older, I went into the nursing area of it, and I started doing channeling of energy. I was doing my channeling work a lot earlier than that, but never realized I'd actually take it one step further and go into the actual medical field.
So you were actually physically a nurse in the nursing field?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I sure
wow.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there about 10 years.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of really interesting things happen while I was there. I continued to practice my transference of energy. A lot of times it was just people weren't even aware of it. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it was very profound with me. And I stood back and I go, oh, gee whiz.
Were you always aware of it? Or is it something that was so innate that there were things that would happen that you weren't even that conscious of?
There were some things that I was not consciously aware of. When I would have patients tell me that I was sitting at their bed all night and yet I was home sleeping. So, the astral travel and that kind of stuff. At first, that was a little bit different.
Disconcerting.
Yeah. Like, oh no, I was asleep. Really?
Yeah. So, how then did it develop? What are you? You're not still a nurse, or are you?
No, I retired out of nursing to follow through with my psychic field. My initial thought of going into nursing was to be able to use this transference of energy that I can do to my patients. At the time, this was not something that was widely accepted on the West Coast. They were doing more work on that on the East Coast.
Oh,
So
really?
I thought I would just kind of wait until things kind of caught up on the west side here.
Oh, that's interesting because somehow in my awareness, I would have thought that it was more accepted. Would be more accepted on the West Coast than the East Coast for some reason. I don't know.
I
No,
thought
really?
so too. I thought so too.
Well.
But it wasn't.
So now what is it? You give like psychic readings or what is it you do?
Now I work out of my home or I go to other people's homes and I will do a psychic reading with, I can use my cards. Sometimes I start out with a card reading and then other times I just can feel the energy of the aura around the body and find out where the openings, where the gaps are. And then we can get in there and try to either close them or open the blocks. And I channel that energy through. It's a gift. It's not something that that I do on a negative scale. It's something very positive for me. I keep it very positive when I'm thinking about it.
So do you have a sense of tuning in with that person's energy and how much do they have to do with the healing in your?
That's a very good question. They do have a responsibility in the healing. I can just go in there, use it, then they will get better. That's all there is to it. If they choose to just space with it and go and and not direct that energy to where it should be going, then it won't do them as much good. I won't say it won't do them any good, but it won't do as much good. They need to focus with me to open those blocks up.
So, that's the kind of healing work then that you do, is like this transference of energy and kind of tuning into where they are.
Yeah.
Now, when you deal with the, let's say, the cards or some other thing, what is it that happens there? What is that process for you?
That process is one that I feel is more of a mental healing. We can get in there and physically heal the body, but if they don't mentally clear up the energy that has caused that particular disease, then they're going to recreate it again. So we're getting in there and we're through the cards saying, you know, this may be a better area to go into. It's giving them a roadmap of a different alternative that they could do. They don't need to choose to do that, but at least I get out there to give them that choice, to show them there is a different direction.
Okay, so it's basically opening up the alternatives. It's basically, Okay, well, why don't, well, I don't know, I mean, just out of curiosity or whatever, I mean, this is something I really know very little of anything, if anything, about, because generally speaking, in religious sense, we work with the mental energy, with the awareness of the oneness of mind.
Yes.
And I don't know, do you have some sense of that with it? I mean, I have no idea where spiritually or philosophically, what idea do you have in terms of spirit or wholeness or whatever?
Okay, I believe there's one being that is in control here, and we are just all trying to do the work that we're supposed to be doing. When I start into either the cards or the healings, I ask for that higher power to come through and to that His will be done. I am like a radio that you turn on to get the energy going.
Do you consider that you are a manifestation of this one power? I mean, that each of us is a...
I think each of us have it, yes. Yes. And are able to open up to it, yes.
Well, I don't know. I guess just out of curiosity or whatever else. I mean, if I came to you for a reading and you had, those are beautiful, actually.
Thank you.
Excuse me. It reminds me of the Rosicrucian cross a little bit. My mother was a Rosicrucian and had the little three things there. So if I came to you for a reading, what do those cards say to you, or what does this kind of allow your intuition to tune in to something, or what is it? If I came up and said, listen, I want to know about my career, what's happening with my career these days, or something, or what's gonna happen with it, how would you start with that? Or on the other, there are actually two areas that I could ask you, that and like I have stuff all over my apartment. I'm trying to get people to help, like clean that up, and to get myself to decide more quickly and eliminate more easily and so forth.
What I could do with the cards then is we would put them out. Now, not always do you get your questions answered immediately. Sometimes, now my readings run about an hour, so you might not get that question answered in the first 5 or 10 minutes, but it definitely will be answered by the time we get to the end of it. Sometimes when I'm doing a reading, I just kind of, what I would say, phase out, and I can get messages from the other side to you also, or from the other side coming in.
That's like from that consciousness that has gone on with other folk after they've, passed on?
Yeah,
or?
absolutely.
How do we know? Somebody once said, how do you know they're really that much more intelligent here? I mean, if I'm getting advice about what car to buy from Uncle Jack, and he was always buying a jalopy and knew nothing about cars when he was here, what's to assume he knows any more about it now?
Let's hope he's connected to a higher power.
I think you have to be very careful with some of that.
You always have choices, okay? And if you look at the lessons that are behind your choices, you always make the right one. Always.
Okay, so how would we proceed? I know we obviously don't have have an hour to do a reading.
No, I know.
But just as a sample.
All right, why don't you just kind of spread those out and just pick one or two out and tell me what you're thinking when you're checking it
Okay.
out.
All right. Well, we'll just say in terms of acting.
Okay.
You know, what's coming up, or what's happening, or where do I need to go, or
Yeah.
whatever.
This is the decaying of old situations. This is the ending of people, places, and things that are no longer of value to you. So in regards to your acting, maybe you're with the wrong people, or maybe there are better people coming in, or maybe you're closing a door now that will open up to something better for you.
That sounds like it ought to be for my apartment, like letting go.
Okay, let's try your apartment. See what comes out.
Letting go of the obsolete and the old. That's what I'm really working on now.
That's a tough one to let go of because they all have memories to them. This is the Valor card, and it's through this card it tells me that through your perseverance and stick-to-itiveness, you're going to have the things that you set out to do in your life. It's not going to be kept from you.
Mhm.
There will be a man that will probably come in who is a Leo or a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarian, and he comes in and he goes, "What do you mean that they don't know you do this?" It's like new news, you know. And he just gets out there and he's like your mouthpiece. He keeps telling people about you.
Uh-huh.
So he's going to help direct. Now this could be that person coming into your life that's going to help direct in your home too.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Organize, okay?
Okay. All right. So just tell me what the cards themselves actually mean. I mean, like that looks like a bunch of hose
Oh, okay.
and a flower too, like an
Okay.
Egyptian flower too. and-
This actually is a wand.
Uh-huh.
It's in the
Is
suit
it
of
like
wands.
Moses' wand or something?
Yes, yeah. And this is the seven of wands, which is that it indicates the valor that you will have the things that you like. The cups would be this one. This was the
Cups?
first one you came up with. It was the cups, and it shows that
Okay.
with each of these cups, the decaying, which is actually the fertilizer of the deck. So you're getting ready to really start growth, new
Uh-huh.
growth.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So is there some way of let's see, some way of making it easy? I mean, it's like I have great resistance to. I mean, I know what to do, but I have a great resistance to doing it. So is there something that can help me work through that resistance? Can I do a card for
Yeah,
that?
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
See what we got for that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
looks like little Medusas or something.
Now this is the wands again. Again, you've chosen a wand.
Okay.
And this one represents then that you're getting ready to make some very big trips coming up. You've got two real big ones. You may also be out of the country on one of them. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, if you're not traveling, then you're going to make some very big plans and carry them through.
Mhm.
But it's something very big. Two things that are coming up that are going to be extremely big for you.
Okay.
Be real happy with these. These are going to be very good. I'm seeing very fast growth with them too.
Okay.
Okay, so that was in dealing to which
Okay,
question
but
you were asking.
that had to do with getting over resistance. Does that mean
Okay,
does that mean that I'm gonna get packed easily, or what does that mean?
Ooh, they're going to stop you. No, what's happening here is that you need to get away. You need to take this trip. You need to get away. You need to recharge your energies.
Mhm.
And I think that's what this is saying, is that you're going to get to a point where you're recharging. Once you get recharged, then you're going to move forward again.
Okay.
So you're going to do some good stuff with that. Good card to
Okay.
have.
What?
It's a good card to have.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. um, the thing I guess is a bit of a question. Is like if somebody comes in with this reading, is there any way that you see that it could be a problem for them, or is it confusing for people, or do you get people a lot who come back and say, "Oh, well, gee, I didn't understand it at the time, but later on it seemed to make sense," or I guess do the cards themselves become self-fulfilling prophecies?
The cards do not. The people who choose to change do.
Mhm.
Okay, the cards are just a tool. It is a way for me to get into a person's mental being to find out what's going on there
Mhm.
and to be able to to help them clear things up. As they're focusing on a picture, that takes their focus away from me, and then I'm able to look in.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's kind of just an avenue of whether I do it with a crystal ball, or I do it with cards, or I do it with psychometry.
Mhm.
It just kind of puts them kind of at ease. They think, I
Mhm.
guess, that you have to do it that way. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I find it interesting because basically my entire training has to do with not looking to things that basically, well, like hypnosis or other things where you kind of turn yourself over to someone else. Um,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
that by giving someone else the authority in my life, that can be in some way debilitating. However, I also know that most of us find doctors and teachers and whatever very valuable, and there are some very valuable tools. So I thought, well, it would be interesting to explore a little bit because I think it could be probably a really helpful tool as long as is there not the tendency for somebody to then feel that they can't do anything without calling you?
Oh, yeah, I do have people like that. But I really discourage them,
Mhm.
and I tell them, no, don't come. It's too soon. And I try to keep them on a regular, a time factor.
Mhm.
As far as like myself taking control of something, or you giving yourself up totally, you're not. You're really not doing that. You have total control of what's going on in your life. I'm
Mhm.
just there for the moment to maybe share some enlightenment.
Uh-huh. Well, that I find a reasonably healthy kind of way to go about it because I do think there's something about being able to use anything as a tool and to because there is an interaction between people
Absolutely.
and people do have certain gifts, and I don't know, it's not something I've particularly looked into, and I suppose to some extent it's been discouraged. I know one of my teachers years ago said that he was, well, I won't go into the whole story of some case that he had where someone had given over so much power to someone who had given the date of their death or something with a couple of friends, and the friends had gone on schedule, and she was terrified. So he worked with her for a while so that she was able to go beyond that, and but and then really installed and so she went with years beyond her projected date of death. But he said he was so trained and uh, I, to not have that kind of fortune telling or whatever kind of thing. That when he went to a Chinese restaurant, his fortune cookies didn't even have any paper in them.
I love it. That's saying something.
Yeah, yeah. Because there is. I mean, I think with and from I've known a number of people who worked with psychic ability or cards or horoscope or whatever, which basically, as I say, philosophically, I say you have to be real careful of some of that because
I don't blame you.
it's a way of giving over your power. But I've known some people who've worked very metaphysically with it. It's been a gift, and it's been able to channel their special abilities in a way that was helpful to themselves and others. And I really like to have I have a curiosity, and I like to have a respect for what it, because we all have our own gifts that we come in with,
Absolutely.
and I think there are many people who do have certain gifts who also have a very deep understanding of the interconnectedness of the universe and the wholeness of spirit and the oneness of that kind of divine spark that we all share. So, so I just try to find the areas of common ground and really have a fascination. I think it's terrific. I could no sooner do that. And there are some people I think who I don't know where you get a sense of sincerity and looking toward the highest and best. Every once in a while there's somebody. Some friend of mine said, "Oh, you've got to see this Ramtha thing on TV," and it was like, and so I watched this tape or something, and it was like there was something very disturbing or distressing to me. I mean, there just seemed to be a whole ego involvement or
Yeah.
something as I watched this, and so I found it there's something about people becoming, ancient Indian philosophers from 4,000 years ago or something that, I don't know, it's like that. I find that a little difficult. Um, but anyway, I'm sorry, I've talked so much, right?
That's okay. That's okay.
No, but our time is almost up. You have, we've got about a minute or so left just to kind of sum up what you'd like for people to know about you and what it is you do and or your philosophy of life in general.
Okay. I truly try to stay on the positive side of my reading. Even what little negative that could be there can be turned around.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your mind open. Be ready to accept changes in your life.
Oh, well, terrific. Listen, thank you so much for being here, Bonnie, because it's a very interesting view into a wonderful field, into a wonderful way of using yourself.
Thank you, Judy.
And for you, do stay tuned, because we will have our usual good news section, and that's your opportunity to really tune into yourself, to your own, well, psychic or spiritual or whatever abilities. So stay tuned, and we will be right back with the good news. Welcome back. This is the good news portion of the program, where I invite you to join with me as we really get in touch with that which is the deepest within ourselves. So I invite you to just take a deep breath. And really pay attention to the process of breathing. What a magnificent gift this is. Each of us has very easily the ability to breathe. It's something that we come in with, something that we know to do. There's that within us which knows what we need to do to maintain that breath, because we do it in a lifelong fashion without ever thinking about it most of the time, or occasionally consciously breathing. And every time we do that, we can be aware of our oneness. Every other person on this planet is breathing. They are doing the same thing that we are. They have the same knowledge within them to have this power, to have this ability, to have this gift of life, the breath of life, operating within us at all times. So, as we are aware of that breath, as we are aware of that power within us, let us be clear on where it is we want to go. For each of us is the power in our own life. We may have friends or family or workers of one sort or another, people who help us along the way, people who indeed share their gifts with us as we share ours with them. But ultimately, we are the power in our life. as our guest was saying today, that ultimately each of us needs to make our own choice, even though others may open up the alternatives. So let's be aware of the shifts. Let's be aware of the alternatives. And let's allow that creative ability within ourselves to operate, to flourish, and to keep us growing in a deeper understanding and living forward. As the Kierkegaard quote at the beginning stated, that we can only understand in looking backwards, but we need to live in looking forwards. So let us, each of us, live forwards. Let us take our understanding in a glance and live forward for today, for the fullness of this moment. I invite each of you to do that in your life, to take that time to indeed connect with that within yourself, to trust that ability to know whether someone in your life is an addition to your life or distraction from your life, and to tune in to your spirit constantly, remembering that you are the world.